streaming sites. But as long as they come up with content that's worth the subscription or whatever it costs, that might be good. It's just that they have to come up with a lot before something good happens. Like how many different original content shows did Netflix put out before Orange is the New Black and House of Cards actually picked up some
You have to
steam?
prove themselves.
Exactly.
Which will be interesting though if they need to prove themselves as much, because Netflix was definitely fighting. They were almost like the original content creator for
They
streaming.
kind of paved the way.
Exactly. So I wonder if it's going to be like CBS is dealing with that right now. They're trying to get people to subscribe to CBS All Access for Star Trek, and the jury's still kind of out on whether or not that's going to be a huge success. So do we think Apple is going to be successful? Like I know it seems odd for Facebook for me to.
That's the one I'm not sure about.
I'm curious. I'm really questioning.
Do you think they're going to do like live productions and kind of use their Facebook Live element? And
maybe they bought Oculus like a year back too. I don't know what they're going to do with that. So Facebook and what they're trying to do with like things that aren't social media, I'm cautious about. I don't know.
Which is weird because Amazon is doing it,
and
they're
and they're very successful.
Exactly, but what they were doing before is not, a studio. So it's interesting to see.
Coming up on UCF Nightly News. The search for the next UCF president ends today. We'll tell you how far along the Board of Trustees is in their 5th hour of their 8-hour deliberation.
Plus, the SGA presidential results are in. Learn how the remaining candidates feel now that 2 parties are in the runoff election.
In sports, see how the UCF basketball team did in their first game of the AAC tournament last night.
Gun laws will soon change. We will hear from a future UCF student who will tell us how he could be affected if they pass.
Nightly News starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Maya Dowdy.
And I'm Princess Janae Steverson-Lowry. Today is Friday, March 9th, 2018. Today, the UCF Board of Trustees will select the new president for the university. Reporter Anna Johnson is live at the Fairwinds Alumni Center where the final interviews are being held. Anna, tell us how far along they are in this process.
We're live now outside of the Fairwinds Alumni Center where the UCF Board of Trustees is interviewing Provost Dale Whitaker right now. Before him, there was Mark Kennedy and Suresh Garamella, and after him, there will be Matthew Wilson. After all the interviews, the Board of Trustees is going to meet to discuss and decide UCF's next president, and then after that, there will be a press conference where the president-elect will speak to the media. The interviews started earlier than scheduled this morning. Each candidate has an hour and 15 minutes to make the case for why he should be president of the university. After the interviews, each candidate gives a statement. This is the last in a series of open meetings where the board discussed the nominees. All of the individual candidates also had presentations that everyone could attend. A UCF spokesman says they've done everything to make the entire process as open as possible. Back to you, Maya and Princess Janae.
What started as 3 SGA presidential tickets is now 2. Brad and Breon are off the ballot, and the runoff election is in full swing. Nightly News reporter Sophia McCready finds out how the remaining candidates feel about continuing the race.
Karen Cadillo and Teresa Tong and Josh Bologna and Jad Shaloub are the final candidates in the runoff election. Out of the 9,026 votes, Josh and Jad had 38.47% of the majority. Karen and Teresa beat out Brad and Breon by only 5 votes with a 30.61% majority. The supervisor of SGA elections, Ashlyn Sanchez, says what the candidates have to do moving forward.
I think just continue campaigning, make sure their platform points are out there and clear, and hopefully get as much students involved and going after it for what they believe in.
Despite allegations about early campaigning in a closed hearing, Jad says he feels very confident about the election, especially because him and Brad are part of the same executive team.
It's just Karen, Teresa, and Josh and I. Brad is going to feel comfortable gaining his constituency and supporting us.
Karen and Teresa say they are anxious but ready to continue their campaign.
It's a dream to really be at UCF and setting these kind of historical
record.
The candidates will debate on March 19th in the Cape Florida Ballroom.
We're excited to have a real debate based on real issues that we want to tackle here on campus.
The second round of voting will begin on March 19th through the 21st.
You go into an election like this, it's really a toss-up because you don't know how students are going to vote during the tabling process.
Reporting from Orlando, Sophia McCready's UCF Nightly News.
Students can vote for one of these candidates online at myucf.com or at one of the SGA tents in front of the Student Union. You can find their platforms at the SGA website at ucfsga.com/elections.
Theater UCF is publicly responding to a Title IX report against one of their current professors. The report is from 2015 and the professor is still teaching. Reporter Anna Johnson finds out why the school is looking into the report again.
Small. Theater UCF sent out an email last week about Title IX concerns in the department, and Title IX coordinator Mary Zukovicki held listening sessions for theater students. She also hosted the Let's Be Clear walk to let all UCF students know about the Title IX resources.
Title IX is a law that states no individual is allowed to be discriminated based off sex.
This comes after Jenny Totke spoke publicly about her 2015 complaint against Professor John Heil, who was her supervisor. She claims he made inappropriate comments to her.
I didn't necessarily want John to be fired. I didn't know what I wanted from him at that point, but I felt uncomfortable working where I was working.
Heil still works at UCF. Totke says her Title IX investigator didn't prioritize the case until she talked about him touching other students. She brought the office these photos.
And I found people who could attest to seeing that, and I gave the names and their contact information. And the investigator never talked to those people, ever.
The investigation took 10 months. Heil was Totke's supervisor the whole time. She says finding out more information was hard.
If things take a long time, that's understandable, but you need to update the student as to what's going on so that they don't feel like they've been forgotten.
UCF says there were 15 Title IX complaints against professors in 2017. While Zukovicki can't comment specifically on this case,
But I will definitely say that the university is taking a look at it.
Totke hopes UCF Title IX can improve with some of her suggestions. In Orlando, Anna Johnson, UCF Nightly News.
Another Theater UCF student is working with the Title IX office to try and fix some of these issues. A UCF spokesman told us they can't make comments on individual cases. He did say the investigation process is comprehensive and because of that can take time.
The suspect in the UCF sexual battery cases made his first appearance in court today. Reporter Jimmy Calhoun is on location at the Winter Park Courthouse now. Jimmy, tell us what happened today.
5 seconds, go.
We are outside the Winter Park Courthouse where the suspect who is accused of abusing 4 females on campus was scheduled to have his first arraignment. But Abdullah Zaman did not show up to his hearing.
Theo, go.
Zaman was seen on this video entering Business Administration 2 and is accused of sexually assaulting a female student in the bathroom. This was only one of the 4 alleged incidents. He was arrested on February 2nd and bonded out early the next morning. And we asked him if he had any comment on his accusations, and he didn't say anything. So today is a scheduled arraignment like we mentioned at the Winter Park Courthouse, and he did not appear. We're still trying to figure out information on why he didn't. We went to his apartment, knocked on the door twice, but got no answer. All right, back to you, Princess Amaya, at the desk.
24 UCF student athletes will be traveling to Puerto Rico to help with Hurricane Maria relief efforts. Night is an opportunity for UCF student athletes, staff, and administrators to journey on international service trips. In May, the selected student athletes travel to Puerto Rico to help with restoring electricity and planting mangrove trees on the island. Lizzie Whitbeck, Assistant Director of Student Athlete Welfare and Development, shares what this means for the students involved.
A student in the classroom, not just being an athlete in the field of competition, but also being able to be a good citizen and giving back to the community.
Have included visits here in America, South America, and Europe. Visit www.ucfknights.com to read testimonies of past trips, their stories, and their achievements.
A bill that would make it harder to buy guns is sitting on Governor Rick Scott's desk. Although it doesn't include a ban on assault rifles, it will be the first gun control measure in Florida. in more than 20 years. Reporter Alexandria Bozargian spoke to a student about how the legislation may impact him.
I'm not opposed to restrictions.
Evan Krall, a future UCF student, has purchased several guns. The 20-year-old believes in the Second Amendment, but urges gun owners to see all sides of the issue.
It isn't just about you and your guns. It's about people and how they're affected by them around you. People who don't have guns, who are sometimes very severely affected, like they lose their kids.
Florida politics expert Aubrey Jewett says the bill isn't just about gun control. It included increased spending for mental health and security. But he recognizes why gun control is a main topic of conversation.
Clearly, the gun control aspect is what's really surprising in this bill, given Florida's usual history with gun control legislation.
But the historical legislation was not enough for Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith. He voted no.
The large capacity magazines, it's the patchwork of laws in Florida that have been handwritten by the NRA that make us all less safe, and we haven't even made a dent in those laws with this legislation.
Jewett says most opposition for the bill came from Democrats with the same feelings as Smith, but not in Broward County.
Interestingly, most of the Democrats from Broward County did vote for it because they just felt like, hey, this is a horrible thing that's happened in our community. We have to feel like we've done something.
Krall says he isn't fazed by the age increase of the bill and just wants what's best for the country.
It wouldn't bother me personally. I mean, what's another year?
No matter what happens with the bill, Krall intends on using his guns responsibly. In Orlando, Alexandria Bozargian, UCF Nightly News.
Governor Scott has 15 days to sign the bill into law. After those 15 days, the bill without his approval or without his signature. The only reason the bill could not pass is if Governor Scott chooses to veto it.
Coming up after the break, find out about the stigma of mental health in relation to guns.
Plus, see where new locations of food options will be.
Did something just happen?
The end of the headline is kind of weird sometimes. And then the one when they come back, it kind of ends. So
Am I starting on this camera?
Yes.
A new poll shows that most Americans believe better mental health treatment could have prevented the Parkland shooting. Experts say this has linked mental health illnesses with violence. Reporter Natalia Hernandez explains the stigma surrounding mental health.
If you talk
talk to me just on a daily basis, you would have no idea that I have depression.
UCF student Julie Gottfried suffers from depression and social anxiety. She says politicians' responses to mass shootings are creating a stigma about people like her.
People that have mental issues are on medication, are fully under control, know what they have to do, and they're not going to go shoot up a school because they're not crazy.
Florida Governor Rick Scott announced plans to make it harder for people with mental illness to own guns. But less than 5% of all crimes in the U.S. are attributed to mental health issues, according to the American Mental Health Counselors Association. Brooke Bajer is the program coordinator in Central Florida.
We don't want to put that stigma that anyone with a mental health condition, can obtain a weapon, because it doesn't mean that they're violent, it doesn't mean that they're not stable.
Meanwhile, Julie's brother, incoming UCF freshman Matthew Gottfried, says gun ownership is not for everyone. He has bipolar disorder and anxiety.
I could be safe owning a gun. Sometimes I can't be. But there are plenty of people that have mental health issues that are totally capable and some that aren't.
Matthew believes the stigma around mental health may create shame and prevent people from getting help.
People are discriminated against those that have mental health issues. We can't get people treated, and it would be the same thing as not treating, say, a broken leg. It just gets worse and worse, and nobody gets better.
Calling for lawmakers to focus more on funding mental health initiatives as part of their plan. Reporting from Orlando, Natalia Hernandez, UCF Nightly News.
In the meantime, Trump plans to invest more money into mental health, including opening more mental institutions.
The University of Central Florida will see new dining expansions across the campus. 2 more Starbucks locations will be added to campus, one on the 2nd floor of the Student Union and the other to replace Cafe Bustelo next to Pollo Tropical. The Cafe Bustelo on the 1st floor of the Student Union will be replacing, creating extra space for seating. Along with these additions, Chick-fil-A is set to expand using outside patio seating as extra building space. These changes will begin after the John C. Hitt Library expansion is complete.
Public supermarkets are experiencing a number of changes within the company, including an employee pay raise and stock price increase. According to their website, Publix employs over 188,000 employees in Florida locations. One of those employees is UCF student Remy Craze. He says the increase in wage is a huge help, especially when it comes to paying his bills.
A little bit with rent. I've been really trying to work a lot, but it's hard to work a lot when you're also doing full-time at school. So this raise will be really helpful to help me be able to pay my rent and not have to worry so much about balancing school and work.
Company spokesman Dwayne Stevens wrote in an email, "We want to continue to invest in our most valuable asset, our associates." The move to increase wages also boosted the company's stock price by 13%, the highest it's been in the past 2 years.
The weather has been a bit cooler lately.
And Natalia will let us know if this drop in temperature will stick around. University of Central Florida marine biologist is continuing her groundbreaking research on a deep-sea fish. Michelle Gator and researchers say the round-nosed grandarier fish is able to adapt to environmental conditions based on depth. The findings show the characteristic is linked to the fish's genetics. Gather studies fish on a slope from around 2,300 to 6,500 feet. She says the fish that settle at 5,900 feet are able to choose a habitat.
So it was a really unique finding in the sense that, this idea that somehow these genetic types can sort by depth is a unique finding.
Gaither says a new research team will be put together by August to work on this project. She says there are still a lot of big questions to answer. It's been pretty chilly these past couple of days.
It sure has, Maya. Hey, Natalia, can we expect colder weather?
That's right, Maya. It has been pretty chilly these past couple of days, and it seems like the cold weather is here to stay. So you're going to want to keep that in mind before making plans to go to the beach on spring break, because you're probably going to want to throw a sweater over that swimsuit, but we'll get into that later. For now, let's take a look at the highs for today in our state. In Tallahassee, our capital, the high is 66. In Tampa, 68. Down in my hometown, Miami, 70. In Orlando, 68. And in Jacksonville, 63. Now for the lows. In Tallahassee, it's 39 degrees. In Tampa, 49. Down in Miami, 63. In Orlando, 49. And in Jacksonville, 40 degrees. So it's going to be pretty cold tonight, so you're going to want to put on those boots and that jacket before heading out today. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. On Saturday, we're going to have a 77 degrees and a low of 63 degrees with a 40% chance of rain. On Sunday, it's going to be 82 degrees and a low of 60 degrees with a 50% chance of rain. On Monday, it's going to be 72 degrees with a low of 47 degrees and 30% chance of rain. On Tuesday, it's going to be 7 degrees with a low of 48 degrees and a 0% chance of rain. On Wednesday, it's going to be 72 degrees with a low of 48 degrees and a 0% chance of rain. Now, this week is UCF's spring break, and it's a lot cooler than what we're used to, but it's going to be nice for you guys to have fun. And just a reminder that on Sunday, it's daylight savings time, so don't forget to fast forward that clock 1 hour in case you don't want to be late to work on Monday morning. Now, that's all we have for weather today. Back to you, Princess Janae and Maya.
Thanks, Natalia. Coming up after the break,
find out more about the softball team and their 3-game winning streak.
Good afternoon, Knights. I'm Beth Brewster, and here is your sports update. The UCF men's basketball team advances in the championship as they beat ECU last night 66-52. This is the 13th time UCF has held the opposing team to under 60 points. BJ Taylor led the team with 17 points and shot around 40% from the field. Not too far behind is AJ Davis, reeling in 14 points for the Knights. Head coach Johnny Dawkins says the team is happy to still be in the race.
This is the opportunity for an AAC championship, so every one of these games are hugely important. It's a one-and-done situation. So I was really proud of our guys. I think our players really responded well to that, and we've been preparing for this all season.
The Knights made over half of their free throws, and UCF surpassed the Pirates in steals for the night 10-3, a season record. In less than 24 hours, UCF plays against Houston for a shot at the semifinals. With a spot in the quarterfinals, the men's basketball team turns its attention to the Houston Cougars. Third-seeded Houston Cougars return to Orlando to face sixth-seeded UCF in the second matchup this year. The Knights lost to Houston earlier this season by a score of 69-65 last month. Senior AJ Davis says he is proud to make it to the next round.
I definitely had that last game on my mind. Last time I was sitting right here, I was talking about a loss and my season was over. And, I didn't want to be in that same situation. So coming into my senior year, I'm glad that we were able to come in and get this win.
Davis says the team will need to learn from any mistakes and move on to the next game. If UCF succeeds, they will play the winner of Temple-Wichita State matchup. Tip-off against Houston is set for 9 p.m. tonight at the Amway Center. UCF's baseball team will be taking on Siena for a 3-game series this weekend. The Knights are looking to keep their 9-game winning streak alive. UCF beat the #1 Gators this past Tuesday and Wednesday, and Rylan Thomas and Ray Alejo gave the Knights a strong start by earning 2 home runs in the first inning. The team is now 10-3 for the season. The series against the rival Saints this weekend is the start of 8 home games. The Knights kick off the series with a doubleheader Saturday at 2 p.m. The UCF women's soccer team has a matchup against UNF tonight at 6 p.m. The game is away at Jacksonville and is one of 5 spring games. The Knights last took on the Ospreys during the fall season, where they won 5-0. UCF's women's soccer is currently ranked 10th in the NCAA. The last game of the spring is at home against FAU in April. The UCF softball team takes on Chattanooga and St. Joseph's today as part of the USF Under Armour Invitational. The Knights are on a 3-game win streak, and 2 of those wins are from Tuesday's doubleheader against Virginia Tech and Ball State. Star player Aaliyah White pitched 10-plus innings in the games, including a shutout against Virginia, and a scoreless 3-plus innings against Ball State. UCF plays their 5-game series in Clearwater. The first pitch is scheduled for 4:15 today. And that's all the time we have for sports right now. Back to you, Maya and Princess Janae.
That's our time for right now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our website, nightlynews.ucf.edu.
And if you have a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way. You can reach us at nightlynews@ucf.edu. Thanks for watching and have a good day.